Hello everybody and welcome to another one of our training videos. In these videos, I share with you my various thoughts and ideas and suggested strategies perhaps in terms of how to become a better leader. I speak about leadership traits, leadership qualities, leadership tips, all with the objective of saying to you, how can you become a more effective leader? How can you become a more improved leader in terms of all the aspects of leadership which are so important today? Today's topic is an interesting one in the sense that it's not one that is perhaps most thought about when we talk about leadership. Yes, we talk about those qualities such as listening, such as strategy, such as vision, such as leading teams. But what about this one? The one we're going to focus on is second guessing. You see, second guessing is something which on the one hand happens to us as human beings, but can be even more important and significant, of course, as leaders. Now here I'm not talking specifically about where in certain companies we have what we call 360-degree reviews. So your peers will give you feedback, often anonymously, on your leadership, which is a whole different thing and very important. And they may catch this and say, ooh, this person takes time to make a decision, or once they've made a decision, they come back on it. That particular aspect is the one we want to focus on. It's called second guessing. My name is Chris Igwe. I have over 35 years experience leading, developing and growing teams across 5 different markets and across Europe, Middle East and Africa. And when this idea of second guessing comes up, you then have to say to yourself, well, what is it? Well, on the one hand, second guessing is the fact that you attempt to anticipate or review the future. So you expect things to happen, or you anticipate they're going to happen. And then you come back on yourself and say to yourself, well, what if it isn't going to happen? What if it doesn't happen? That's where you start to second guess yourself, which is not what you should be doing as a leader. We're going to explore, in my thoughts and ideas, some of the reasons why second guessing occurs, and then how you can deal with it, and then the benefits of addressing and eradicating, if you like, that challenge of second guessing. So let's make it very simple. Let's start off with a case which I'm sure we've all had. We all love going out to restaurants to have a meal. Now, how many of you have been sitting there looking at a menu, a very detailed menu perhaps, and you're not sure what to take? You're asking your friend, your neighbor, your family, what are you having? What are you having? Trying to come up with an idea for yourself. In the end, you do. But then you start to think to yourself, the waiter's taken your order, he or she's gone away. Did I make the right choice? Did I make the right decision? And even worse, of course, when the meal comes and other people have plates that you sort of think, I knew I should have taken that. Oh, that was really what I wanted. That's a part of second guessing in our daily lives. Now, inevitably, it happens a lot, of course, in retail perhaps, or shopping, especially with the online shopping facility. So you go online, you find what it is you want, that beautiful dress, that pair of jeans, whatever, and you order it. And there's a bit niggling in your mind thinking, was that the right thing? Should I have got blue as opposed to black, or red as opposed to green? Those are all elements of second guessing. Now, bringing it back to leadership, you are paid, presumably, the big bucks, or you're certainly paid as a leader, whether you're a project team leader, company executive or whatever, you are paid more than the team that you manage or the company that you run. So by nature, getting paid the big bucks means you have to make executive decisions which are not based on thoughts and ideas and anticipations and hunches and feelings, but based on facts. Yes, intuition comes in, but they are founded. So if you start from that point as a leader, assuming the information you've gathered is accurate and correct, then you have to stick by the decision that you go after. So let's talk about some of the things that relate to second guessing oneself. These are my assessment of the things that impact and create this essence of second guessing. The first is it could be as simple as fear. You fear the fact that a decision you've made, a choice you've made, is the wrong one or is inaccurate or whatever. It could be that by nature and personality, you have insecurities, which you can still have as a leader. Not all leaders are perfect, as they say. You could have insecurity issues. You could have anxiety or worry issues. I was talking yesterday to a lady who said that she worries a lot and she knows it's wrong because she worries for the wrong reasons and the wrong things. Worry. Are you a worrier? It may simply be self-confidence. Do you have self-confidence in yourself? And that could come from perhaps your upbringing. In some cases, maybe as parents, we obviously love our children, love our family, our parents love us, but they've brought us up in a way where perhaps our upbringing has not given us the strength, the knowledge, the independence that we wanted or needed. But at the same time, equally, perhaps in upbringing, it could be cultural. In certain cultures, for example, it's the man that decides. And this is not just Africa or Asia or any of those kind of continents. We have a few countries that I've lived in where it's the man's decision to make a choice to make a decision, which is not actually true because my wife challenged that very vigorously. But it could be a cultural thing that you are imposed through the culture as to how you are supposed to behave. So if you have some of these that are going on in your mind, body and soul, then understand these are the main things and there is a fundamental reason. Now, equally, of course, there could be more fundamental problems with the individual which are not covered in here. But those are the first ones in terms of self analysis, as it were. So what does this result in? Why is this a big deal? Why should I be telling you that as a leader, you should avoid second guessing and diminish it as much as possible? Well, the first is you end up over analyzing. You keep going over and over and over the same thing, which as a leader is very bad. That is poor leadership. It means you're not taking the bull by the horns and getting on with what you need to do. It ends up in delays in implementing the system, the process, the strategy, whatever it is you want, and maybe you miss the window of opportunity with whatever you're looking to put in place. Procrastination, which we'll spend some time talking about on its own because that's a subject matter in itself. Procrastination, the fact that we keep saying to ourselves, I know I should do it, but I'll come back to it, or I'll do it later, or I don't have time right now, or it's too big an issue to take care of. I know I need to take care of it, but I'll do it tomorrow. Procrastination can be very, very debilitating in life in general, but as leadership as well. Perhaps you excessively focus on the details. Now, details are important, don't get me wrong, but once you've got the details, those who report to you have told you what you need, you then say, okay, I have enough. Maybe you've got 90, 95%. The other is what we call risk. As a leader, you take risks. I've spoken about this before. You can't overly focus on the details. At some point, you've got to press the button and say, we're going for it. You end up self-sabotaging yourself. You end up torpedoing yourself all alone because nobody else is second-guessing you. You're doing it yourself. It's an proactive process that you put in place and you self-sabotage. So you're actually diminishing your ability to succeed. And of course, the final piece is it could become, if as a leader, you become so intensely wrapped up in yourself and you realize that you're making a mistake and you should change, it could become not only a physical health problem, but also a mental one because you've got this thing going around in your mind. So with all these things, those are what it results in. Now, before I close with the last part, if you remember in one of the videos I did recently, I talked about ego. And I mentioned the fact that is ego positive or negative? Now, in one sense, and in this particular case, this is where ego should be positive. You should see it as positive. So having this self, which is what ego is about me, it's about I, it's about self, as I explained previously. So with ego, you use that to fuel your desire to say, I made the right call. That was the right judgment. That was the right decision. That ego drives you through. So you need some of that. This is a stage where you say to second guessing, out of the way, ego take over. So to finish off, how do you overcome it? Because you may be asking me that question or that thought in your mind. Well, here are a few I've put down. One is positive self-talk. Now, there's a lot more to this than you can imagine, but talking positively to yourself, reassuring yourself that you have made the right call. You are amazing. Your decisions will be fantastic. There's a whole process around that. No time to go into it, but positive self-talk. Take away all the negative stuff going on in your head, the left side telling the right side what to do or vice versa. Take all that away. Start with small key decisions. Perhaps you're trying to bite this big elephant and you can't do it. One bite at a time. Start small. What's a small decision that you can make before you get to the bigger or biggest ones? List, and this is very practical and very helpful as well, pros and cons. What are the pros of doing this? And what are the cons of doing this? What are the choices that I'm making? And then when you finish, hopefully the pros significantly outweigh the cons. You may never get to zero cons. That's still that part about risk that you have to take, but it shouldn't be the negative aspect which is going to impact the decision that you make. I've recommended this before. You need to get a personal coach as well if you're really challenged by this and struggling. What the coach does is helps you work through those issues. Perhaps, for example, what is positive self-talk? How do you implement it? How do you use it? What regularity do you use it by? What are the results you expect to see? Maybe small decisions. What do I mean by small key decisions? I don't know. It depends on what your subject matter is, what your problem is you're dealing with. So a personal coach can take you through that process and help you, and really is a helping hand in this challenging time for you. But even if you've got a coach, I would still recommend you find a mentor. And a mentor, again, to familiarize yourself, a mentor is different from a coach. A mentor is like someone who's seen it, done it, and as they say, got the t-shirt, someone who's gone before, someone who doesn't have these challenges, someone who has immense confidence in himself or herself and is able to just make these decisions based on quick review of the list, the pros and cons, someone who you can talk to, engage with, and they can very quickly support you with their thoughts and ideas. It could be a one-off. Do I mind calling whoever the mentor is, take 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes of his or her time, or is it a more defined relationship? But get a mentor as well, somebody to be there for you. And perhaps most importantly, in amongst all this, of course, celebrate the wins. I often talk about the fact that we need to appreciate the successes in our life. So if your self-talk, your key decisions that you're making are small, you've listed out the pros and cons, you've got a personal coach, you've got a mentor, celebrate. Thank yourself. Tell yourself, yep, I've made that one step. It was a small step, but it was a big step for me because I went out and did something on those lines. So I certainly hope that some of this has spoken to you and resonates in a different way. So I would invite you, if that is the case, to please feel free to comment, like, and share this video. And of course, subscribe to the video channel so that you have other videos coming up and look back at some of the others that we've had before, because the objective is for you to become a better, more effective, more successful leader. Thank you.